Hello, so today we're going to carry on looking for missing side lengths using trigonometric ratios. Today we're going to have a look at what we do if the side that we're looking for is in the denominator of the trig ratio, so there's a little bit more rearranging to do, and then later on you'll practice both types, so what we looked at yesterday and today, putting that together and having a go at those types of questions. So first example we'll have a look at is this triangle here. So as always, first thing we do is label the sides. So we've got opposite, the angle, the hypotenuse and the adjacent is here, and then I'm going to write down SOHCAHTOA, tick off what I know. I know the angle, so I can tick off sine, cos and tan. I know the adjacent, so I can tick off the adjacent there, and I am looking for the hypotenuse, so I can tick off h. And the only trig ratio with all three ticked off is this one here, so we're going to need to use cos. So I'm just going to write down cos of the angle is equal to the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse, and then we can substitute in what we know. So the angle is 30, so cos of 30 is equal to, the adjacent is equal to 10 divided by, and the hypotenuse is x, which is what we are looking for. And now x is in the denominator. So what you need to do in this case is multiply throughout by x. So I'll show you both stages first of all. So if we times throughout by x, that means that on this hand side we've got x times cos 30, and on this hand side, because I've multiplied by x, that just means I've got rid of it from the denominator, so I don't put an x on top and I just am left with 10 here. Now to get x by itself, the opposite of times by cos 30 is divide by cos 30, so I need to divide both sides by cos 30. And I can say that x is equal to 10 divided by cos 30. And now this is what I'm going to type into my calculator. So get your calculator here. We've got 10 divided by cos of 30, close the brackets, and you would get an answer of 11.5 to 1 decimal place. So therefore x is equal to 11.5 centimetres. And you can check, does that make sense? Well, we know the hypotenuse is the longest side and 11.5 is longer than 10, so it does make sense that that's sort of roughly within the region of where we'd expect our answer to be. So what I'd like you to do now is pause the video and have a go at the your turn question here, and this is also on the slides, and then come back and I'll run through how you would answer that. Okay, so hopefully you've had time to have a go at that one there. So again, first thing we'll do is label triangle. So we've got the opposite, the hypotenuse and the adjacent. Write out SOHCAHTOA and tick off what we know. We know the angle, so we can tick off sine, cos and tan. We know the opposite and we are looking for the adjacent. So in this case, we are going to need to use tan. So using the TOA part here, I can say, well, tan of the angle is equal to the opposite divided by the adjacent, and then I can just fill in what I know. So the angle is 30, so tan of 30 is equal to, the opposite is 8, and that is divided by, and the adjacent is x. So again, I need to eliminate x from the denominator. So if we times throughout by x, then you would get x times tan 30 is equal to 8. And then to get x by itself, divide throughout by tan 30. And you would get that x is equal to 8 divided by tan 30. Grab your calculator. 8 divided by tan of 30, close the brackets, and your answer is 8 root 3 which is equal to 13.9 to 1 decimal place. And that would be your answer there. What I'd like you to do now is have a go at the test your understanding questions. So these questions here, they are on the slide. I will record work solutions for them just so that you've got a few more sort of examples on that, but have a go at them first, and then there's some practice questions for you. So pause now and do those questions. Okay, hopefully you've had a go at each of these questions, so I'll just run through how you would do them quite quickly, and then you can rewatch if you need to. So every time, label the size first of all and write out SOHCAHTOA, and then to determine the ratio, in this one I know the angle, I know the opposite, and I am looking for the hypotenuse, so the only one with all three ticked off is sine. So sine of the angle is equal to the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. So sine of 62 is equal to 7 divided by x. Now you will have spotted that essentially what we're doing here, if we times by x and then divide by sine 62, is we are just swapping these over. So if you've got the x in the denominator, you can do that, you can just swap those over, so then you'd end up with x is equal to 7 divided by sine 62, just doing that in one step, and then if you compute that on your calculator, 7 divided by sine of 62 is equal to 7.9 to 1 decimal place. Question 2, to label the sides, the opposite, the hypotenuse and the adjacent, write out SOHCAHTOA and take off what we know. So we know the angle, we know the adjacent, and we're looking for the hypotenuse. So in this case, the only one with all three ticked off is cos. So cos of your angle is equal to the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. Substitute in what we know. So cos of 38 is equal to 20 divided by x. And then again, to eliminate x from the denominator, times both sides by x. To isolate x, divide both sides by cos 38. And you end up with x is equal to 20 divided by cos 38. Which gives you an answer of 25.4 centimetres, rounding to 1 decimal place. Question 3, label the sides, so opposite, hypotenuse and adjacent, write out SOHCAHTOA. And ticking off what we know, again we know the angle and all of these, we know the opposite, and we're looking for the hypotenuse. So in this instance, I'm going to need to use sine again. So sine of the angle is opposite over hypotenuse. Sine of 42 is equal to 20 divided by x. Flip those around, so we've got x is equal to 20 divided by sine of 42, and that would give you an answer, 20 divided by sine 42, of 29.9 centimetres. And very last one for this video here, opposite, the hypotenuse and then the adjacent are those sides there. So write out SOHCAHTOA. And we again know the angle, so I can tick off sine, cos and tan. We know the opposite, and we are looking for the adjacent. So in this case, I'm going to need to use tan. So tan of the angle is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. Substitute in what you know, so tan of 56 is equal to 32 over x. And then, as we've done before, we can then rewrite that as x is equal to 32 divided by tan 56. And if you type that into your calculator, 32 divided by tan 56 would give you an answer of 21.6 to 1 decimal place. So hopefully those answers are the same as what you've got, or you can now see how to amend what you did. And now have a go at the practice questions on slide 6. Some of them will be like this and some will look like what we did yesterday, so you will determine that when you found the trig ratio and substitute it in there.